Every story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Hello and welcome to CoreTV Primetime News, broadcasting live from our Lagos studio. I am Abosede Omowi, and here are top stories tonight. Very many thanks for joining us tonight. Now the news in full. The federal government says there is no specific date yet for the signing of the 2016 appropriation bill. The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Udo Udoma, stated this after the Federal Executive Council meeting presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari. Udoma maintains that government is still working to perfect the budget. State House correspondent Abiola Oluwole reports that Udoma briefed the media alongside Ministers of State for Petroleum, Communication and Power, Works and Housing on deliberations at the meeting. His report.
Since it was presented on December 22, 2015, the 2016 appropriation bill has been a subject of controversy. Both the National Assembly and the Executive have been exploring ways of correcting errors found in the fiscal document. Briefing journalists after a 4-hour Federal Executive Council meeting, Minister of Budget and National Planning says no date yet for President Buhari to sign the budget.
On the 2016 budget, we're still talking. On the 2017 budget, I think the idea is to get it to the National Assembly in time so that they can pass it this year.
Attributing the drop in power generation from 5,000 to 3,000 megawatts to activities of saboteurs, Minister of Power, Works and Housing expressed optimism of achieving the set 10,000 megawatt target of President Buhari by 2019.
Whilst we understand that people are going through a difficult time, it's a bad time to have an energy crisis, and there's no good time to have one. But we are optimistic as we brief Council that we will turn this curve. It's a temporary thing, and we will overcome it. We will go back to normal service when gas is fully restored.
On the fine of MTN, the Minister of Communications maintains that no negotiation yet or investigation are ongoing.
The investigations are still on. Negotiations have not yet commenced. That's very important. Negotiations have not yet commenced, and the 50 billion naira which was paid may eventually form part of the payments.
The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachuku, also says efforts are in top gear to resolve the lingering food scarcity in the country. From the presidential villa in Abuja, Abiola Oluwole reporting for CoreTV News.
An operative of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Michael Wetkas, testifying against the Senate President, Bukola Saraki, is admitting before the Code of Conduct Tribunal that he did not personally interrogate the defendant on his alleged use of foreign bank accounts to launder public funds. The prosecution witness had in his testimonies told the Danladi Umar-led tribunal that Saraki operated foreign bank accounts which he used to siphon monies belonging to Kwara State government. Judiciary correspondent Basil Okafo has more in this report.
The trial of the Senate President over an alleged false asset declaration since Monday has been on a day-to-day basis. This is in line with the tribunal directive that the embattled President of the Senate will appear every day to answer charges against him. At the resumed hearing of the case on Wednesday, the prosecution witness answered several questions relating to the alleged foreign bank account. Wetcast, who is being cross-examined by Saraki's counsel, Paul Usoro, admitted that he did not see the statement of the account opening of the alleged foreign account.
We are getting into the meat of the case, and today essentially the cross-examination of the witness focused on count 11 primarily, and we haven't exactly finished yet, but I think it is okay.
Answering question on the alleged transfer of funds into foreign account by Saraki, the witness says some documents and tellers relating to the transfer of funds from Saraki's GTB account to foreign bank were burnt. He told the tribunal that the bank swore to an affidavit and obtained a police statement in respect of the fact that there was an inferno and part of the document belonging to Saraki got burnt. The matter has, however, been fixed for further cross-examination. Basil Okafor, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Now, the Senate is Wednesday agreeing to drop all issues that have brought contentions between members since the 8th National Assembly came into office. Concurring on its decisions at a closed-door session, Deputy President of the Senate, Arik Air, says the Senate is setting up a committee of 2 members each for the geopolitical zones to help solve issues between members from these zones. The Senate also set up reconciliation committees to troubleshoot between members who are having issues with the Senate. On this ground, the Ethics Committee is to drop all charges against Senator Kabiru Marafa, who is accused of defaming the Senate. As part of the reconciliation moves, all senators who are known to have cases in court are to immediately withdraw them in the interest of peace. A second executive session is to meet with service chiefs who have been invited to brief the Red Chamber about moves to rescue the Chibok girls and other security arrangements in the fight against insurgency. Meanwhile, the senators dropped the amendment of the Code of Conduct Bureau and Code of Conduct Tribunal Acts and the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. The Senate took the decision after a closed-door session. The Deputy President of the Senate, Arik Air, who presided over plenary, also called off the summon issued to the chairman of the Code of Conduct Tribunal, Justice Danladi Umar. Now, SocioEconomic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has called on the Senate to immediately withdraw the unconstitutional summon for Justice Danladi Umar, Chairman Code of Conduct Tribunal, to appear before its Ethics Committee. In a statement signed by its Executive Director, Adetokunbo Momoni, SERAP says the Senate cannot arrogate to itself the power to summon judges without violating constitutional safeguards. It also accuses the 8th Senate of perpetrating a parliament of men and not of laws. The group points out that the Senate does not have the power to summon any judge, including Justice Umar, adding that if there is any credible allegation of corruption against Justice Umar, it ought to be dealt with by the appropriate law enforcement agencies. Now, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission says the Deputy President of the Senate, Arik Air, is not an anti-corruption ambassador of the agency. The EFCC therefore urges members of the public to disregard the reports stating otherwise. The spokesperson for the EFCC, Wilson Owujaren, in a statement says the EFCC National Assembly Liaison Officer, Suleiman Bakari, went beyond his assignment by decorating Air. He says the EFCC could never name anyone as its ambassador, as the EFCC is an anti-corruption agency that could arrest any individual found wanting. The statement notes that the statutory mandate of the EFCC is investigation and prosecution of all economic and financial crimes cases, which does not include the declaration of individuals as anti-corruption ambassadors. It states further that members of the public and stakeholders in the fight against corruption should disregard the so-called declaration. And now reactions have continued to trail the proposed amendment of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015. The purpose of the act is to ensure that the system of administration of criminal justice in Nigeria promotes efficient management of criminal justice institutions, speedy dispensation of justice, protection of the society for crime, and protection of the rights and interests of the suspect, the defendant, and the victim. On a flagship program called Digest, analysts took a swipe on the action of the lawmakers as the nation still battles many economic and social challenges. Our correspondent has more.
The virtual collapse of the criminal justice system led to the enactment of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015. In a rather comprehensive manner, the Act has provided for the administration of criminal justice in the courts of the Federal Capital Territory and other federal courts except court-martial, which have separate rules of procedure. However, mixed reactions have continued to greet the proposed amendments of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. On our steamy and participatory program called Digest, analysts on the show cautioned the lawmakers on amendments, seeing it as an exercise in futility.
So what they are doing now with the CCT Act is amending so that they would have the proviso that Saraki agitated aggressively for legally within the context of this case. But the most dangerous, the very most dangerous, and which most Nigerian journalists are not looking in that direction, is the about to be commenced amendment on the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 with a view to removing entities like the Code of Conduct Tribunal from benefiting from the timeous proceedings of criminal matters.
Yeah. It is a joke of the century. Quite a joke.
Yeah.
Christian, if you follow me, you will have seen my put right up on social media on this matter. It's a joke. It's a joke in the sense that I was discussing with you yesterday while we were going, and I said, does that mean that even lawyers among them don't read? And you said he doesn't blame the senator, but the so-called consultants.
Quite interesting on the show, as analysts now have a different standpoint.
It's you.
We are just trying to. I got what
it's you who has not understood.
No, I understood.
Let me.
I know. Look, you know what you are saying is that even the SCDA as it stands now is a contrary. It's a contrast to what the provisions of the constitution as regards to the CPA and the CPC.
Barrister, listen well to my ignorance, because you are because I'm opportuned to learn from you here as a practicing this thing.
Callers are not left out of the conversation.
Our senator, what they are trying to do, I think Jonathan has been signing the new criminal law into law for speaking dispensation of justice.
Right from the Senate president to the least person in the house is just of some of them, as one of the lawyers rightly said, that the presidency has the idea of these people. Some of them are criminal-minded people at the National Assembly who does not want this country to move forward.
We don't have leaders, representatives in Nigeria. We have elected those who have come to kind of support themselves. They don't even have the heart of the masses at heart. The truth is, everything they are doing there is politics, whether we like it or not.
It is expected that lawmakers in Nigeria will perform their civic rights and responsibilities in ensuring that laws enacted are in line with national development.
Now, the Zaria Area Command of the Nigeria Police Force says it's tried hard to convince members of the Islamic movement in Nigeria to dismantle a road blockade mounted to prevent Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff's convoy from driving through a part of the city. The area commander of the Zaria Police Command, Assistant Commissioner of Police, Muhammad Shehu, disclosed this while testifying at the ongoing Commission of Inquiry set up to look into the clashes between the army and the Shiite group last December. CoreTV correspondent was there and now reports. In a grueling 3-hour-long cross-examination, ACP Mohammed Shehu gave account of what transpired in Zaria on the 12th of December.
I try as much as I can for them to see reason why they don't need to block the Chief of Army Staff. And they continue telling me they will not allow him to pass, and they will not even allow me to reach where he is, that I better stop wasting my time because they will never allow him to pass through this road.
ACP Shehu says the Shia group has always had a reputation for disregarding constituted authority. He also adds that the group's members are homicidal, giving instances to back his claim.
Remember, there was a time an indigent of Gelesu traveled for about 5 months, and when he came back home around 9 o'clock in the night, he attempted to go to his father's house, which was just some meters away from their leader's house, Malam Al-Zazaki, and he met a roadblock. They told him they are very sorry he cannot go to his father's house now because it is late.
That the police have failed to check the perceived excesses of members of the Islamic movement in Gelesu and other parts of Zaria, the chairman of the Commission of Inquiry, Justice Muhammad Lawal Garaba, describes as a massive indictment on the Nigeria police force.
You tell the complainants that, look, it's not something we can do anything about. Go and help yourself. We have several complaints in our memos, in the memos before us. On this particular issue, complainants will run to the police will say, look, this one is beyond what we can do.
The public hearing continues. You're still watching CoreTV Primetime News. We'll take a quick break now, and when we return, we'll bring you more reports. Do stay with us.
VAT, Value Added Tax, is a tax paid on all goods and services and remitted by the seller of the goods or provider of the service to government. 5% VAT is added to the total cost of goods and services in Nigeria, and when remitted to government, is used for funding development. The VAT you pay will be used by government to develop our transport infrastructure, like roads and railway lines, to continually improve our educational sector by building more schools and upgrading existing ones, to provide adequate security and a better quality of life for us all. Pay your VAT. Make your contributions to the development of Nigeria. It pays to pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service.
Thanks for joining us again, and if you're just joining us, you're watching CoreTV Primetime News. Let's take another look at our top stories. You can get more on our top stories, all the news and information on our social media platforms. Facebook.com/CoreTV News. You may subscribe to our YouTube channel for more. It is at CoreTV News NG. That's on Twitter. And our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CoreTV. Leave a space news. The National Primary Healthcare Agency says from the year 2022, Nigeria will no longer be receiving funding from donors due to the rebasing of the budget. The Executive Secretary of the agency, Ado Mohammed, disclosed this at the Anglophone Africa Peer Review Workshop in Abuja. The workshop has 5 countries, Kenya, Uganda, Sierra Leone, Liberia and Nigeria, in attendance, and they have been deliberating on how to provide funding for immunization exercises in the various countries. Bukola Feni has more.
The Executive Secretary says Nigeria will not be able to receive funds in 6 years from foreign donors. The country, according to him, needs to look for creative ways of alternate sources of funding.
Immunization is an investment, not an expenditure. And if you look at where we are now and where we'll be by 2022, when the donors will have withdrawn their support, because Nigeria Nigeria is no longer a donor-eligible country, considering the rebasing of the economy.
Sabin coordinator enumerates that vaccine immunization is important in eradicating diseases such as measles and polio, and Anglophone countries need to legislate laws that will favor immunization funding.
So it is with immunization the same. You have to keep immunizing, or you're going to get outbreaks again. Like polio could come back, measles would come back, be a big outbreak. So once you do immunize, you keep it going, right? Therefore, it is something a country must provide.
A Sierra Leone legislator says African countries need to come together to legislate laws that will help track budgets and provide appropriate funding for immunization. He says government should implement budgets, especially in the primary health care provision.
We've been working on sustainable immunization financing. And one of the major issues we are here is to exchange ideas on how to come up with legislation on immunization. You cannot have a concrete immunization financing without a law.
The Anglophone African Peer Review will promote effective legislation that will help provide enough funding for budgetary allocation for vaccines. Bukola Afeni, CoreTV News, Abuja.
In the meantime, the aviation union has grounded the operations of Nigeria's carrier Arik Air over what they describe as a large debt of 12.5 billion naira to the Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria. The union shut down the airline's operations today after a year-long negotiation failed. The passengers are the worst hit following the dispute, as hundreds of them could not embark on their journey. In a statement issued by its management, Arik Air confirmed the situation but frowned at the action, saying that the suspension of its domestic operations will remain in force until the unfortunate situation is resolved. And in other reports, worried by the spate of the massive corruption in the oil and gas sector of the Nigerian economy, key players are conversing transparent level in checking this cankerworm. To this end, a policy dialogue has been demanded by the Nigerian Natural Resource Charter and the Natural Resource Governance Institute in collaboration with all relevant institutes in the oil sector to team up to fight corruption in the oil and gas sector. Anita Patrick has the report. Reporting our subsequent bulletins, and moving on from there, a Lagos State High Court sitting in Igboshiri stopped a representative of Festus Keyamo from prosecuting a 754,740,680 naira fraud suit filed against a former Director General of the Nigeria Maritime Administration Safety Agency, Patrick Akpobolokemi, and 6 others. Justice Raliat Adebiyi ruled that Marcel Ume, a counsel in the chambers of Keyamo, did not have the fiat of the Attorney General of the Federation through the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission to prosecute the defendants. Akpobolokemi is standing trial on a 13-count charge bordering on stealing and forgery. The judge adjourned the case till April the 3rd for continuation of trial. Now, months after the All Progressives Congress came into power at the center, Nigerians have continued to react on the change promised by President Muhammadu Buhari. Nigerians are optimistic about the government, although hopeful that will done for things to improve. Victoria Solomon tells us more in this report.
The All Progressives Party APC came into power at the federal government level in 2015 with the emergence of President Muhammadu Buhari. During the campaigns, several promises were made by the APC as they contested against the People's Democratic Party (PDP), which has ruled the nation for some 16 years. The promises brought on improved power, security and employment, amongst others. After about 11 months of APC at the helm of affairs and few, if any, physical evidence of such promises seen, Nigerians seem to believe things are moving too slow for the Ghanaians.
It's a failed government. This government is not serious about change, and that is why the government is underground declaring austerity, while Oshibajo is lying in public that there is no austerity. If there is no austerity, why are we paying more at the banks? If there is no austerity, why is it that everything has increased? Why our salary is not increasing?
They are failing in every aspect. Yes, I believe our money should be recovered, but then you don't recover the money at the expense of every other thing. Something should be happening simultaneously. Let us see these policies. Let us see economic policies. Let us see our youth being employed. Let us see people eat food. People voted for change. Let them experience the change.
They should wake up from their sleep. They are still sleeping, and it's not right. They are fighting corruption and leaving other things. They are not doing anything about it. Every Nigerian is now, they are beggars.
A few are, however, hopeful and think the government should be given more time.
I think we should be a little bit more patient. Make sure that the Assembly passes whatever they need to pass promptly. And once money starts flowing through the system,
it is hoped that the Buhari-led administration would make hay while the sun shines and bring to reality the changes it promised Nigerians.
To Plateau State now, where artisans in the state are lamenting the shortage of electricity supply in the state. The situation, they say, has been worsened by the fuel scarcity. Speaking with our correspondent in Jos, the Plateau State capital, most of the residents describe the situation as a business killer. The report is presented from our studios.
This is the staccato sound of generosity that Nigeria has found itself in not meeting citizens' electricity need, which has put over 10,000 megawatts, but can barely generate steadily 2,000 megawatts in a month. The situation has worsened at Apata, Busa, Buji, Laranto, Tudunwada, Zamangada, to mention but a few, who have been put in darkness for days. Electricity consumers, especially owners of small businesses, are growing over the unstable power supply of the new electricity tariff.
And they bring too much below. Or the two CFI for 1,003, they use run our business, we'll still pay. I've not paid, we'll still cut our lights. If they flash and we did that, they will collect them. 5 hours, we don't see anything. Our sugar is spoiled for free.
Because if they give you work, if you collect the work, you give them date and time that you're supposed to finish up the work. So because of there's no light, the customer will come to complain. If there's not taking you guys will start insulting each other.
According to the public relations officer, Jos Electricity Distribution Company, the low power supply being experienced lately is caused largely by challenges with gas supply, the generators, as well as vandalization of unpatriotic citizens. She says Jos office usually requires about 250 megawatts, now gets less than 100 megawatts to service Plateau, Benue, and Bauchi states.
It's a national problem which affects all the states. All the discourse are included from the allocation we receive from the national grid is low.
On the areas in Jos thrown into total darkness.
It's an accident where a big lorry with load affected our wires. But presently, we have communicated with those in charge.
Though with huge investment in nation's power sector, the sector is still far away from its destination because the key factors that determines its progress are yet to be fixed or reviewed.
Now, the House of Representatives is inviting the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mohammed Bello, to appear before its committee on the FCT to explain his decision to engage the Federal Inland Revenue Service to collect tax on behalf of the FCT. It is contending that the FCT has an autonomous tax collection outfit and is therefore going out of stipulated regulation, as reported by National Assembly correspondent Emmanuel Ehijene.
The motion was brought to the floor under matter of urgent public importance by the chairman on media and public affairs. He termed the action unconstitutional and a breach on the implementation of the Capital Territory Internal Revenue Act 2015. The minister, rather than implement the act, is signing a comprehensive agreement with the Federal Inland Revenue Service to collect taxes for the FCT in breach of the extant law.
The House resolved to invite the Speaker of the Minister of the FCT to appear before the House to explain the reason for taking such steps and show cause why he will not revise this clear breach of the law.
In their contributions, members took the line of argument of the mover of the motion, arguing that the law has to be followed.
Abuja is considered as a state. Federal Inland Revenue Service is supposed to collect federal revenue only. So we have already passed the law and we should guide it jealously.
So I want to rise and arise to support this motion
there's anything the minister wants to tell us, he will tell us. This is why we are disobeying the law. If the FCT Inland Revenue Act has been passed, it must be obeyed.
Which of the taxes are being collected, whether there are violations of the laws, so that we don't end up, modeling up two different scenarios. Because I know that there are some specific taxes that are supposed to be collected by the federal government, while some are also collected by the states.
It is worthy of note that the 6th Assembly had passed the bill for an act establishing the FCT Inland Revenue Service and its management board in concurrence with the Senate, and the President assented to it on the 27th of February 2015, and it has since become law of the Federation. The Committee on FCT is being mandated to report progress to the House in 2 weeks.
The gruesome murder of Samuel Okonta, a political science graduate of the Ambrose Ali University of Edo State, has continued to generate intense condemnation from lawmakers and the lower legislative chamber. They are saying that incidents of this nature are becoming too rampant in the country, with little or no regard for the lives of youth corps members on national assignment in various parts of the country. Our National Assembly correspondent Emmanuel Hijene again tells us more.
This motion came up under a matter of urgent interest by Honorable Shegun Adekola, representing Ekiti South Federal Constituency 1 of Ekiti State. He observes that this is not the first time that a gruesome murder like this is taking place in the country, citing an incident that happened after the 2011 elections when more than 11 corps members were killed in the northern parts of the country by people protesting the outcome of an election.
A graduate of political science from the Ambrose Ali University, Edo State, who hailed from Ila community in Idemili North local government area of Anambra State, served as the assistant presiding officer for INEC at Upelede Town Hall 6, Unit 5 in Ahoda West local government during the last rerun election in the state.
Other lawmakers speaking in similar vein are condemning in very strong terms the killing of not only youth corps members but protesting students in various institutions across the country.
It is extremely important that our young men, the boys and girls that we have sent to serve our great nations, are protected. And I think it is so sad, very, very sad, that somebody will just sit down and take another life for no justifiable reason why the person is there carrying out a national assignment.
The Inspector General of Police is being called upon to identify and arrest perpetrators of this act by making them face the full wrath of the law. The Committee on Human Rights is being mandated to look into the issue and advise appropriately.
Lottery operators are over as the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission is collaborating with the National Lottery Regulatory Commission to reform the sector. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission says it will work with the Regulatory Commission shoulder to reform the sector. Correspondent Kozim Kasali has more on the joint effort to reform the lottery sector.
Chairman of the EFCC says the Commission will work to ensure sanity in the lottery sector. He says the days of impunity are over, while also urging all players in the sector to play by the rules.
Indeed, it will no longer be business as usual for fraudulent players in the sector. Let me reaffirm the commitment of the EFCC to work shoulder to shoulder with the General Regulatory Commission.
Speaking earlier, Director General of the National Lottery Regulatory Commission says the Commission is desirous of ensuring a lottery sector that addresses the concerns of all stakeholders. For him, government revenue week before now is lost due to the fact that calculating earnings was based on projections will be captured due to a new innovation by the Commission.
We shall as well ultimately protect the interests of our government, the federal government, under a very dear president, by ensuring that the statutory remittance of 20% of lottery proceeds is actually not just accurately but dutifully remitted to government.
The partnership between the two government agencies is particularly important at a time like this to plug revenue loss and build capacity for employees of the Commission to deliver on its mandate. Kozim Kasali, CoreTV News, Abuja.
And now in Lagos, the Department of State Security has arraigned 2 artisans before an Isolo magistrate court for allegedly cloning the mobile line of Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode. The suspects are Rilwan Jamiu and Balogun Stanley Oyewole, who claimed to be a cocoa dealer and was said to have attempted to perfect a 50 million naira transfer with the said mobile line. Prosecuting counsel from the DSS, Peter Okerimodun, told Chief Magistrate Adeola Adedayo that the suspects were arrested after using the cloned mobile line of the governor to send a text message to the Accountant General of the state requesting the transfer of 50 million naira on February the 10th, 2016. The accused, however, pleaded not guilty after the charges were read to them. Magistrate Adedayo overruled Okerimodun's plea that the accused be kept in protective custody pending the outcome of the legal advice of the Directorate of Public Prosecution in view of the fact that their lives could be endangered by other suspects who are on the run. She therefore admitted them to bail in the sum of 1 million naira each and 2 sureties in like sum, and adjourned the case to May the 10th, 2016. While you're still watching CoreTV Primetime News, still ahead on the foreign scene, Gulf Arab countries and the United States agreed to deploy joint patrols to intercept ships smuggling Iranian weapons to Yemen. Details after this break. Do join us again.
CoreTV News now live on all Androids.
Welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
Download CoreTV News app from your Play Store. Click on the menu to see all our top stories from politics, sports, business, foreign news and live TV to watch us live on your mobile.
I want to know why I should be believing them.
You can also click on video to see all our YouTube videos. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Many thanks to you for being there. Now to report from beyond the shores. Gulf Arab countries and the United States have agreed to deploy joint patrols to intercept ships smuggling Iranian weapons to Yemen. The Secretary General of the Gulf Cooperation Council says the bloc and the U.S. would stage joint maritime patrols to stop weapons smuggling from Iran. The agreement was reached during a meeting between U.S. Defense Secretary Ash Carter and his Gulf Arab counterparts in Riyadh. The 2 sides also agreed on joint cooperation towards improving Gulf missile defense, special forces and maritime security, but no new deals were announced. Obama today met Saudi Arabia's King Salman, though there was no information on what the 2 leaders discussed in the 2-hour meeting. On Thursday, Obama will attend a GCC summit that comprises Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates, and Oman. Now, the United States Justice Department has launched a criminal investigation into offshore financial dealings exposed by the Panama Papers, leaked documents that showed money laundering and tax avoidance schemes by the wealthy and powerful. The U.S. Attorney for Manhattan, Preet Bharara, announced the probe in a letter to the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. A year-long probe by the investigative journalists examined the papers, which came from around 214,000 offshore entities and covered almost 40 years. The Panama Papers revealed how Mossack Fonseca, a Panama-based law firm, allegedly helped current and former world leaders, as well as businessmen, criminals, celebrities, and sports stars evade or avoid paying tax via anonymously owned shell companies and offshore accounts. Now, at least 40,000 Syrians have fled fighting near the northern city of Aleppo in recent days as government forces continue an offensive against opposition fighters despite a truce. The UN Office for Humanitarian Affairs says escalating violence has pushed people eastwards towards the strategically vital border town of Azaz, as well as the Bab al-Salam and Sijou camps for internally displaced people. In a statement, the office pointed out that taking into account the previous influx of over 75,000 internally displaced people into the Azaz sub-district in January and February, humanitarian needs are expected to rise exponentially. The UN expressed deep worry over the fate of the thousands displaced by the fresh fighting. And now to sports reports. And sports reports at this time, Nigeria's Super Eagles will take on Mali and Luxembourg in 2 international friendly matches in Europe in the next FIFA window. The 3-time African champions will face Mali, ranked 4 places above them by FIFA at 63 at the Stade Robert Diocan in Rouen, France on Friday the 27th of May. The Eagles of Mali have already qualified for the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations finals, having garnered 10 points from their first 4 matches of the qualification series in a Group C that also has Equatorial Guinea, Benin Republic and South Sudan. NFF's FIFA match agent Jairo Pacon confirmed to the NFF.com that the Super Eagles would then play Luxembourg, ranked 145th in the world. Now, Nigeria's under-23 head coach Samson Siasia may have decided to drop former Golden Eaglet top scorer Victor Osimhen from the Rio Olympic squad. Report says that Siasia has finally settled for Roma striker Sadiq Umar as backup for Osimhen, who is currently at the Abuja camp of the Flying Eagles ahead this month's Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations qualifiers against Burundi. Siasia aide revealed that the coach may be forced to drop Osimhen after the young star insisted on playing for the Flying Eagles. Osimhen, who set an all-time FIFA Under-17 World Cup scoring record with 10 goals last year in Chile, was on Siasia's court to the Africa Under-23 Cup of Nations from where they qualified for the Olympics. Well, that it is on sports and on CoreTV Primetime News today. But before we go, a recap of our top stars. Many thanks to you for being a part of CoreTV Primetime News today. I am Abosedi Omowi. Do have a pleasant night rest.